What is going on, guys? Tyler Matthews here. Going to talk today about the top three keys, as I see it right now, to growing your sports training business. So, these are not necessarily in order. It depends on who you are, where you're at. And there is probably 10 or 20 other things that we could name that are key and essential to growing your sports training business. These are the top three that came to mind to me today that I see with talking to hundreds of sports trainers and with going through the process of building my own sports training business. I've seen what works short term, what works long term. And these three are my keys to growing the sports training business the right way. So, yeah, let's get right into it. The first one is consistent enrollments. So, there is just the nature of the business and the way that a youth sports training business is structured. The kids are going to graduate from your program. So even if they ended up playing 20 years of professional basketball, or soccer or whatever your sport is, then you would only have them for 20 years. The likelihood of that is very, very slim, almost less than 0.001% of kids are going to play sports for that long and be involved in your program for that long. So most likely the average length of time that you're going to have a athlete is, let's call it 3 months to 3 years. That's what I see as the average, is 3 months to 3 years. There's some trainers that only train a player one time and they only have them for one day. And then there's, of course, trainers that have players for 10 or 20 years. But on average, I would say it's 3 months to 3 years. So with us knowing that, if we know that we're only going to have these players for 3 months to 3 years, then we need to have a consistent pipeline of new players that we are consistently enrolling into day one of our program, right? And the way you do that is, number one, word of mouth, which ties into the third key that we'll talk about today. But word of mouth, you need people to be talking about what you're doing in your local area. If you're a local service-based business, we want to have a lot of people talking about what you're doing. So word of mouth, positive word of mouth, and then paid advertising is going to be the second way. So word of mouth is free. Paid advertising, that is like pretty much a on or off switch, or you can gauge how high you want to go, how low you want to go, how much money you're willing to spend based on the speed of which you want to grow your business. So we run consistent paid ads in our local basketball training business. And I highly encourage any sports trainer, once they have like just a few of the basics dialed in, to just turn ads on and never turn them off. It's like a water faucet. If you need to turn it up a lot and you need a lot of leads, you can always turn that ad spend up to 50, 100, $200 a day. And if not, then you should at least drip it $10 a day consistently over the year. So that's paid ads. Number two, the second key to growing your sports training business is going to be the program structure and investment. So, just running the math on how many players you're going to have versus how much those players pay you, it's a lot easier, more simple to grow the revenue and the profit of your sports training business on having high ticket programs. If you're accepting $20 here, $50 here, $100 here, and you just run the math on how many transactions you need, if you do $20 or $50, whatever your average transaction is, times however many players, you're going to need a lot of those transactions. And yes, you may get multiple transactions from each family, but it's a lot easier to just get a few transactions from, a decent amount of families that are a lot higher ticket. So I've seen trainers that do high ticket 2 day trainings or 1 week or 2 week trainings, right? And they may be charging a couple $1,000s for just a couple days or a couple weeks. What I typically encourage, if you're a local trainer, is having something that's a couple $1,000s for a 3, 6, or 12-month program and having families enroll into that initially. That is what I've seen to work best. And then, there's things that you have to manage on the back end of that. But the program structure and how you um, lay out what your program looks like and what the investment is. So rather than just making it a session by session thing, actually having a program, having it be structured, and having a investment that is a high ticket on that is going to tremendously help you in being able to grow your business. And then last but not least, this one's can be obvious, but we need to be reminded of it. We got to have world-class training. And so you can I mean, to be honest, most trainers that I talk to actually they think they have world class training. They really think that they're a really good trainer, but then when I look into their sessions and what the structure is and how it's being ran, they're winging a lot of things and they've gotten really good at winging things. But the best businesses in the world, like if you go to a 5-star resort, like let's call it the Ritz Carlton or something, they have everything dialed in. It's streamlined. The attention to detail is top notch. Same thing with like really high end restaurants. They may have like, people in the bathroom that are catering to you. The hostess is always on point. They have multiple people that are attending to your table. So, world class training is what I wrote here, but really what I mean is world class service delivery. And the service that you're delivering is the training, but there's also other things that tie in with that. And the attention to detail has to be high, starting on time, ending on time, greeting people with a smile. And just obviously making sure that the curriculum of what you're teaching them is getting them results and that it's focused on them and not on you. And so just the analogy I like to give on this one, if LeBron or Cristiano Ronaldo or one of the top athletes in the world was hiring you to train them, you would most likely show up very early. You would make sure that you're prepared and have more than enough hydration for yourself and potentially for them. You would make sure that the session is really detailed and planned out and that you start on a high note, end on a high note. And of course, there is going to be differences with training a world-class athlete versus multiple youth kids in a session, right? There's just a different dynamic there, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm talking about, which is that we want to have world-class training, which leads to better word of mouth. It also leads to your paid advertising, getting better results. And then it also allows you to have a program structure that you can charge a high ticket for and believe in and sell confidently. So yeah, these are the top 3 keys that, as I see it right now, to growing your sports training business. Hopefully you got a nugget or two out of this. If there's any questions, comment them down below. I'd be happy to chat those up, or feel free to email me, get in contact with me one way or another, and let's keep growing. I'm going to post these videos at minimum 2 times per week for the rest of 2026. I'm committing to that minimum 2 videos a week, talking about how we're growing our local sports training business and how you can do the same. And if there's any way I can help, feel free to reach out. We'll be in touch. Thanks for watching.